What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. We're live breaking down game number 65 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, winning this one here tonight 7-4 over the Edmonton Oilers, moving to 40-17-8 on the season. And this was what was a very solid response, comeback, revenge win for the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Edmonton Oilers. Here you're looking at an Oilers team that had rolled into Boston the other day, a team that rarely loses, let alone loses at home or in regulation. And Edmonton goes in there, they go down to the Bruins, who score the first goal of the game, and Edmonton comes back and wins in regulation against Boston. You're starting to see a different Oilers team, and when we last played them, as the Leafs did, getting blown out in that game where they played terribly, it was a concerning sign for Leafs fans walking away from that game, sitting here saying, what did we just watch? Why is this happening? Why is this team broken? And you roll into a game here tonight where you have a tough first period. You end up going down 3-1. There's some shaky goals being scored. There's some tough defense that we have to watch from certain guys on this team. And then you respond. And not only do you respond, but you respond with the big boys. The big boys had themselves an absolute night here tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I will get into Noel Acciari, the effect that he's had, how he played here, but look at the rest of these guys. You're looking at Mitch Marner, a goal and 3 assists. Matthews, a goal and an assist. Nylander, a goal and an assist. And Tavares, 2 goals, 1 assist. This was done here tonight with no Ryan O'Reilly in this lineup. So imagine what happens when you add a little bit more depth and a little bit more push and difficulty matchup-wise for the other team as they have to face off against what would be 3 of elite centermen in the NHL right now pushing into this lineup. If you go in there and you add Ryan O'Reilly and you add that bite that he has, the physicality, the size, you look at a matchup like that, a lot of teams around the league are going to have a hard time defending against you or stopping you in any sort of way. And yes, this is a one-time game where you win 7-4. There were some shaky things, but you look at this thing with the big boys on this team, the Marner, Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares. If you step up in games like this, you don't have to necessarily put up points or have that kind of offensive success on a nightly basis, but what you do have to do is play the way that you did tonight. And I understand that putting up points like this every single game over the course of an 82-game season or in the playoffs, not sustainable and not likely. I 100% get that. But you can play like this every night. There is no excuse to not play this way every night with that passion, the intensity, the no giving up, pushing back in a game where you go down 3-1, things look bleak, and you're looking at a team who's got very, very talented players who can burn you 5-on-5 or on the power play. Yet gave up a bunch of power play opportunities to them, and yet you still find a way to come back in this one, take the lead, and maintain the lead against the Edmonton Oilers. So this was a good statement win here for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We have a lot to get into from some of the guys on this team here tonight. We'll look at some of the individual player performances for sure. If anybody does want to call into the show, of course, as always, please make sure to send a message to the Discord or send a message to me on Discord in the Leafs Digest Discord. If you have questions there, Andrew is in the chat, so Andrew can send the Discord link because I seem to have problems every time I send it. But if you want to join in, send me a message on there. We will take calls on the show here tonight. So if people have an interest in doing that, want to let us know their thoughts on the game, please make sure to do so. But I have a super chat here, so I want to get to this before we get too far into breaking down the show here tonight. Super chat from Maxentius Decimus. Thank you, Max, for that super chat. Max saying, "Hole on that second goal is what makes Keefe proud." Sad. Yes. That was a tough look for him there. That is the reason why I have such a difficult time with having him in a lineup. You look at possibility of having him match up against a McDavid again in a situation like that, or you have maybe a McKinnon coming down on him if you get to the West. Like if you get to the finals, you have to play a Western Conference team. Likely going to be one of those teams. Anytime anybody's coming down with speed, he can't do it. He can't skate. He can't create a gap, or he can't maintain a gap. So struggles with that, and that goal there was really, really difficult to see. So frustrating one on that goal specifically. I definitely understand, and that's the ones where it looks at and I sit there and say I can't understand what Sheldon Keefe is thinking about when he makes moves like that and brings guys into the lineup on a constant basis like that. But yes, so there was a super chat there from Max, so thank you, Max, for the super chat. Did address that, and I'm sure people will be pretty upset if we continue on that again. But super chat here from Jeff McKay. Thank you, Jeff, for the super chat. Jeff saying, goal of the night from Mitch, and again, why Hall? First and foremost on the Mitch goal, yes, we obviously will get into our play of the game throughout the course of the show or later on in the show, so that'll 100% be something that we do. But yeah, Jeff saying goal of the night from Mitch. That might not just be a goal of the night from Mitch. That might legitimately be one of the best goals so far this season that Mitch Marner scored, not only from himself, but league-wide. The moves, the patience, dragging that puck back on the backhand after sending Stuart Skinner going the opposite way, sending him all the way across the net, and then burying that. But one of the underrated parts about that goal, or funny parts essentially, he hit both posts before that puck even went in. Went short side post, far side post, and then bounced into the net. So that was pretty funny to see there, because that was a near miss on what ended up being a highlight reel goal. But yes, as for why Hall, no idea. I mean, one thing too, I don't know where everyone else stands on this, but after tonight, I don't see why Gustafsson couldn't be a guy who deserves some opportunity here and deserves some minutes. And one thing that I do want to point out and do want to say in all of this, Rasmus Sandin is in Washington right now and garnering a ton of attention because of the amount of points he's putting up and the offensive production that he's creating, okay? We need to account for the fact that he played 30 minutes a night the other night for Washington, and he's playing 25, 26, 27 minutes a night for the Washington Capitals out there. Every time he goes out on the ice, he's playing nearly 50% of the ice time. He's playing on the power play 1, and he is raking in points. Compared to where he was at here, he was playing about 10, 12, 15 minutes a night once everyone started coming back and being healthy. He didn't play power play 1. He's not going to get those opportunities. And then you put in Gustafsson coming back, and now people are looking at Gustafsson saying, oh my God, look at what Sandin's doing. He's putting up all these points with Washington. He's playing all these minutes. He's getting the power play time. And then you go into a situation here where it's not happening. He's not getting that. He's not getting those points. He doesn't look as good as where Sandin was at from that standpoint, or Sandin is at with Washington right now. Well, Gustafsson's getting the same opportunities and the same trust and the same respect from Sheldon Keefe that Sandin got. So basically flip spots. He goes there, he's having success like Gustafsson saw when he was in Washington. Now Sandin goes, he's having that success. Gustafsson comes here, he's playing the role that Sandin was, and he's not going to get those opportunities. So for whatever reason, Sheldon Keefe just doesn't have the faith in those guys, not interested in playing them, not interested in seeing what they can do. So we're going to see this happen. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to sit here and continue to criticize that move from a player versus player perspective, just because it's a different opportunity. It's flat out a different opportunity that's happening there. If people want to call in, reminder, you can join the Discord and call in. I'm going to try to get people in here, so if you do want to call in, make sure to do so. We'll take calls here tonight. And the other thing I want to remind people, there's 160 people watching right now. Every 50 likes on this stream, we'll bring the salts out. Maybe we got to get a show sponsor for the salt, from the salts. That's the next thing that we got to get done here on Leafs Digest. If you guys can go find the people at Ward Smelling Salts and tell them you got to get in on Leafs Digest. We love the smelling salts here. Every 50 likes on this stream, do the smelling salts. That's what it is. That's how we do it. So if you want to call in, and if you want to see the smelling salts, like the stream, send me a message in the Discord. As far as the things in the chat go right now, I'm seeing a bunch of questions, so let me try to answer some of these, especially some of the ones that are very actually flat out asking what's going on. Why didn't Campbell play, Zach? I think Edmonton just doesn't trust him. They can't play him. Like, the joke would be that they're scared to play him against the Leafs, but I don't think that's true. I think they're just scared to play him in general. I think they're flat out scared to play him in general. So if he can't if he can't go, he's not winning them games, and that's a team. I mean, even despite how good they are right now, they're in a position where they're currently sitting in a wild card spot for the playoffs in the West right now. So they're not going to get all of that recognition, and they're not going to get all that trust where you can say, yeah, we can comfortably play Campbell. Not really. He hasn't been good since he got there. That was one of the best moves Kyle Dubas never made, is letting him go. So yeah, I just don't think they trust him. In games where they feel it's important to get points, to get wins, he's not going to be the guy that goes in, and that's the reality of the situation. So it is what it is. But we do have our first caller on the line here. I know there's Gord wants to call in as well, so we will get Gord on the line. We'll get Gord to call in here and let us know his thoughts on the game here tonight. But we do have the first caller of tonight's show. Andrew, long time since we've talked last. How's it going?
Well, it's okay. I mean, it's great because the Leafs won, but other things not so great. We won't go into that. But yeah, I'm really loving seeing the Leafs dominate a game. Our big guys at the front showing that they're earning the amount of money that they're earning for a reason, and making sure that every single close-up of McDavid that we saw today was pretty much him being miserable. That was pretty awesome. I'll take that. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Every time they cut to him, he had sappy, sour face going on. I think he kind of just naturally has that look to him a little bit, but it definitely was very evident here tonight where every time the camera cut to him, he looked like he was pretty upset with what was going on. So, I mean, it was kind of nice to see. It was kind of nice to see because you're looking at a guy who gets all this recognition, as he deserves. He does deserve to get the recognition, but nonetheless, it is. I mean, hey, that's a game where your big boys show up. McDavid performed here tonight. Draisaitl performed points-wise tonight. They had themselves good games. But, man, it felt good to watch the big boys tonight.
I wouldn't be surprised if McDavid hits 70 goals this season. We all need to remember it's been 2 years in a row of Matthews taking that spot, and it's okay that he's not taking it this year, guys. It's okay that Matthews does not take the Rocket.
Yeah, you don't got to win it every year.
I'm happy for McDavid. Good for him. He finally gets that award.
Yeah. It's one you want to add to the mantle and get it going. He's rattled having to watch Matthews get that, the last 2 seasons consecutively. So now roll in here and he says, all right, it's my turn. But yeah, I mean, Matthews is not going to score 60 goals again this year. That's the reality. It's not going to happen. But we're seeing a very prominent other area of his game, and that is the defensive side. You're looking at block shots. You continue to see the takeaways, which has been something he's been really good at. But you're seeing a defensive buy-in all around in terms of how he plays and how he kind of conducts himself out there on the ice. But if you're looking at this game here tonight, Andrew, obviously we're talking about how the big boys really performed. I'm seeing a lot of love in the chat right now for Noel Acciari and Jake McCabe. I'm seeing a whole bunch of people saying sign Acciari now. I've seen it on Twitter before we started the show. I'm seeing it in the chat. You walk away from this game. Who was the player, the secondary or tertiary player on this Leafs team tonight who stood out to you most?
Like, you mean a player who's not like in our highly paid star system? Yeah. So that has to go to Acciari. Because the 2 goals and the pure effort that went into that. But if we like overlook McCabe, then we're not doing ourselves any favors. I also really liked some of Lafferty's plays in the first period when we couldn't seem to get things going. So that was kind of nice. But Noel Acciari definitely takes it for me. That guy is all heart, and that's something that this team really, really needs.
Yeah, Noel Acciari is a guy that I'm very excited about having. When that was added into that trade, and when I saw that come across that he was coming with Ryan O'Reilly to the Leafs, I was very happy with that. And I saw some people, I mean, he scored relatively early into the time that he got here. Now, when I say early, it's not like he's been here for 40 games now. It's not been that long since he's been a Maple Leaf, but he scored relatively early on once he got here, and then his offensive production, basically nothing happened after the fact there, and it just kind of went quiet, essentially. I saw some people get to...
He was always in the play. Like, he was there battling along the boards if he had to be, or he was jumping into the scrum in the defensive zone and pushing the puck forward. I just didn't see him like getting to the point where he was the one behind the puck getting into the net. He's still part of that forward momentum.
Yeah. Oh, 100% agreed. And what he did and the way that he played, I think you had to kind of look at his play away from the puck and how he impacts a game in other ways outside of offensive production, especially when you get to the fourth line guys. Everyone sits here and says, well, the fourth line's not scoring, the fourth line's not doing that, whatever. There's other ways that the fourth lines impact games, and if they can be effective at doing that, then you're in a good position, because can they score a goal every now and then? Yes. Okay, great. That's where you're at. People look at what happened with Tampa and they say, well, Nick Paul scored all these goals and he won the game for them, and Blake Coleman did this and he did that. Yes, he did. But if you watch them during the regular season, did they score 2 goals a night on a regular basis? No, they didn't. And actually, more times than not, the third and fourth lines on those teams probably actually aren't even participating that much offensively throughout the course of an 82-game season. It's just that those types of players that I truthfully will put my neck on the line right now and say Noel Acciari is one of those types of players. He's the guy who rises to an occasion in a playoff game. He rises to the intensity, he rises to the energy, and he rises to the moment more than anything. He realizes the moment that he's being put in. And he's a guy who can go out there and get you those goals. But, Andrew, and I think this is the most important part, and it's something you touched on there, is he's involved in the game in all the other aspects. And if he's not involved in the game in all the other aspects, he's not going to be able to score that goal every now and then. Why do we think Pierre Engvall, Mikheyev, these guys disappeared in the playoffs last year? When you look at them in the regular season, they put up points. Well, because they can't play the other aspect of the game. Noel Acciari can. And that is a very exciting player to me on this Leafs team right now.
And very well said. And when you consider the other part of that deal, Ryan O'Reilly, he has already proven that he's willing to put in the work. And when he comes back, it's going to be that much more potent. Having that like center depth return to the Leafs, which like without it, this is what we can pull off with a shaky Matt Murray in net. We can put 6 past Skinner, get McDavid real frustrated, and make Zach Hyman look like, kind of not a lot. I got to say, that is really impressive and really comforting when I know that we're going to go into the playoffs facing Tampa Bay. And I hate saying this. Guys, don't hate me for this, but it feels different. Am I allowed to say that? Don't hate.
You're allowed to say that. If you want to put yourself on the line and say that, yes, you are more than allowed to say that for sure.
I think it's not a sensational thing to say. I'm sorry, I had to.
You have the passion right now?
Goddamn right I do.
I'm going to just flash that on the screen there, the passion. I'm seeing in the chat here a bunch of people saying he's the perfect bottom six. Stephen Beer saying a perfect bottom six, the guy that we are missing. I think that's completely fair. I have a question for you, and it is kind of Leaf related. We'll tie it in. You'll see where I'm going with this, and I'm interested to hear your opinion. Darnell Nurse. Is he not the Edmonton Oilers Morgan Rielly?
He's like a bigger, angrier version of Morgan Rielly. Yeah, right. I can see what you're saying. That, yeah.
I think he's just like Morgan Rielly with an attitude, and he's got some intensity to him. So, like, I kind of look at him out there, and I see the things that he does and the way that he plays, and there's a part of me that watches him and just kind of like, I would like some of that attitude out of Morgan Rielly, because I think we could just add some of that and you get going. But Yeah, I was
Every
just curious
time I'm
about that.
looking at Morgan Riley on the ice, and like I like the way he plays. He plays well, but like he's always got the same facial expression. It's either neutral or it's like, ah man, I can't believe I missed that. Like that's his two speeds. He's a 2-speed bike.
Yeah.
That's his emotional factor in the game. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't really see him change too much. There's a lot more emotion on John Tavares' face than there is on Morgan Riley's, and that's saying
That's
something.
saying something, yeah. Also, I have 50 likes here, so thank you to everyone who liked the stream. But Andrew, you know what that means. You've been around, so
It's now it's time. You all hit like we have more than enough here to make them do it twice over. If you all hit like right now, they'll have to do 3 smelling salts in a row. Should I have not said that? I probably shouldn't have said that.
oh,
God, man.
oh. All right, there you go. Did that for you guys.
I appreciate it. I
Oh
don't know about
my
the rest
God.
of the jokers.
My eyes, they're watering. Got to make sure you don't touch that bottle fully, and otherwise, if I touch my eyes after, I'm scared it's gonna be like pepper spray going on. But yeah, thank you guys for the likes. You keep hitting those likes, we keep having to do it. So hit the like button. Get us to 100 now.
There. I love it.
All right, Andrew. Another question for you, especially in regards to Morgan Riley. I kind of just wanted to tee that up and see where you were at on it, but he played a little bit of a better game here tonight, but we still are lacking. We're still lacking seeing Morgan Riley's offensive production getting to where it was in previous seasons, especially I would say like last season where he was at, especially after he signed the deal. He signed that deal and all of a sudden he was like a darling here. It was, wow, we got a discount on this guy. The offensive production is ridiculous. He's scoring goals. He's able to conduct that power play. And then as the season kind of closed, the regular season, it started to dip. Then it got to the playoffs and it was non-existent. Now what's followed him into this season is essentially where he was at in the playoffs and how he played there. It's basically been the whole year. He obviously missed a bunch of time. He dealt with injury. What do you do if you are Sheldon Keefe? Well, probably a bad example because I don't know if any of us can really understand what's going on in the mind of Sheldon Keefe right now. But what do you
blender is wild.
Yes. What do you do if you are the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs right now and you need to figure out the best defensive pairings for the Maple Leafs? Because 11-7, this is not going to work come playoff time. I really don't think that that's going to work come playoff time over a long period of time. But you have to figure out a way to get some pairings together. Where do you go with these defensive pairings, and what do you do with Morgan Riley? Because he seems to be the one piece that can't play with all these different players, and so you kind of get handcuffed by him.
Oh yeah, no, he's a little bit of an odd man out because he's like the one pair that Keefe seems to be willing to like try over and over and over and over again is Riley Hall, and it just produces it about like almost half the clip that some of the other matchups do. Yeah. And like when I think about Riley's play, yeah, comparatively with especially after all these acquisitions that we got of some of these bigger guys like Luke Shen. I just, he seems to stand out as not being able to like have a decent pairing that we can like really sink our teeth into. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that's on his play set or just on his like, is he sliding a little bit right now? Is this isn't as good as I've seen him play. Like I know Morgan Riley can play better. So my thinking is like maybe like I don't want to say bench the guy. And I don't want to scratch him, but I think maybe like claw his minutes back to make him understand that if you want, this is a competitive team where everyone wants to have those minutes. They want to be there in the playoffs. And if you start to claw them back now, then you're subtly implying to him that we will not include you in the playoff lineup if we have to. We have a Morgan Riley light. We have Gustafsson, like I think that's his name.
Yeah, Gustafsson, I think they go with.
Yeah, Gustafsson. Yeah, and he's not like that's rude. I shouldn't be like that Morgan Riley like, but he's he does a lot of the things that Morgan Riley can do. I didn't hate seeing him on the ice today. He played pretty well, and like he didn't make any huge mistakes. So I think that needs to be brought up for him.
Right.
Morgan Riley needs to sort of like realize we're not we're not putting all of our hopes on him now. We have some room to try some stuff out, especially in these coming weeks before the playoffs.
Yeah. Well,
I think I agree with Gord on that, by the way. Just on the last thing, Riley plays best with Brody. I agree with that. I've seen him play some decent hockey on that line recently, so I would like to see maybe more of that if we're going to do it.
Well, so my thing though with this, and it's a question for you, is a question for people in the chat as well. I'm interested to hear their thoughts. I'm gonna ask Gord about it because I know he wants to call in later as well. So you guys are gonna get to hear this a couple of times, but I think you'll hear some different perspectives, which will be nice. One thing that was pointed out in the chat, and I was kind of gonna get to this, and it ties into the point, but Morgan Riley played the third most minutes of the defense tonight. He played 17:54, so he came up just short of 18. Jake McCabe, 18:27. Then you look at TJ Brody, 20:44. Well, to me, I look at that first D pair of TJ Brody and Jake McCabe, and I believe they should be getting the most minutes. I believe they should be out on the ice as much as they humanly can because I think they are the best D pair that we had. So, if they're the best D pair that we had, and they're the best opportunity that we have of having a shutdown pair, a calming pair out there who can stabilize a game defensively, maybe kill momentum of the other team if things get going, you can put them out there, you're going to get some physicality, you're going to get some bite, some pushback out of a guy like McCabe, and then you're just going to get that nice, easy brand of hockey from TJ Brody that they can eat minutes, especially come playoff time. Maybe you push them 25 plus. Now, what do you do with Morgan Riley? Because you are right. Gordon is right, in my opinion, on this one. Like, you guys are both right here that Morgan Riley plays best with TJ Brody. But if the best pair is TJ Brody and someone else, like, how do you kind of handle this?
He sits. No doubt about it. He sits. If that's all he can do, then he's not good enough to play in the playoffs with this Leafs lineup, with everyone else clicking the way they're clicking. If you were to ask me and we were to do the playoffs right now, and if that was sort of the tie-up that Morgan Riley is going to continue on, have the only success be with Brody, well, in that case, I would probably do McCabe and Brody. I'd probably do Liljegren and Shen maybe. And I don't know. What do you got? What does the rest of the chat think? Zach Aston Reese. Let me see. I got my Leafs defenseman here. I want to throw Justin Hall directly into the sun, so I don't want to include that at all. But I just don't know. I just don't know how you fix. I don't know how you square that circle, man. That's a tough one. You're asking a real tough one. But yeah. I think that if that's the case, then Riley gets benched. You know, like if that's all he can do is play with Brody, then that's just Brody being good. That's not Riley being good.
But I think I think the reality. Well, yes, I would agree with that. But I think that the reality as well here is that they're not going to sit him. We look at, yes, it would be nice if they did that, but I mean, we're also looking at number 3 still playing in the lineup and being forced out there in situations, and undeservingly so for him. But he's just going to continue to do that and continue to be put in that spot. But I go with this. I just take minutes away. Because I don't think they're going to put him in the stands, and they do want him on the first power play for whatever reason. Put him on the third pair, lower his minutes. You saw them lowered a little bit here tonight. Now, obviously, he still has the third most of anyone on the team, but look at some of the other defensemen here. It was almost like a flat, shared rotation of guys tonight. 20-44 for Brody. He played the most by a good amount. 18-27 McCabe. 17-54 Riley. Then you look at after that, you go 15-42 for Gio. So you're looking at just about 2 minutes less time. Gustafsson, Hall, Liljegren all coming in between the 13 to 15 minutes there. I just continue to lower minutes. Just put him in a spot where he's not as exposed. Put him in a spot where he doesn't have to play so much and be out there in really important defensive positions. And I think that that's where it goes with.
Sounds good. I just want to say before we lose it, Michael's dropped in 2 super chats.
So I was about to get to the first one here. So the first super chat from Michael. Thank you again, Michael, for that super chat. Michael's saying on the first one, boys, Warming up, I beg, no Kerfoot on first line. He has no business being an NHL player. He looks like a jockey, smaller and tinier than my 12-year-old nephew. In terms of no business being an NHL player, I disagree with that. I think he gets shit on a little bit more than he should. Is he a first line player? No. Second line? Probably not. But could he be a solid third line player in the right line? I think so. I think there's frustration because he doesn't score, deservingly so, especially when you play on in the top six with Nylander, Tavares, Matthews, and Marner. Like, Michael Bunting scored 20 goals this year so far. He scored a bunch of goals last year. Like, this is a guy who found ways to produce, and he's not the most skilled player in the world, but even Zach Hyman got it done when he was playing up in that top six. He's getting it done out there in Edmonton. You go in that top six, you gotta find ways to produce. You don't have to blow anybody away with offensive production, but you have to be participating, and he doesn't. He doesn't participate offensively. Now, he has these little mental lapses that he runs through where it just dips off at times, and the randomest things happen where, or he does the randomest things, I guess I should say, not that they happen. He just puts himself in weird spots that really aren't productive in the game and really take away from things. But again, like, I'm always going to be someone who just doesn't have a problem with people being smaller players. Like, I think that that's like the most irrelevant argument that you could possibly have. That personally, Hyman's not a big player. Nugent Hopkins is not a big player. Mitch Marner is on this Leafs team. He's not a big player. Yarncroke, not big. Like, these guys still find ways to be productive, and if you can find your niche and find your way to use it, I don't have any problem with small guys. It's more just, do you play small? And sometimes I think that Kerfoot does play small, and I will agree with that. He plays small sometimes, but my only beef with it really is just I just think it's ridiculous when people say, well, he's small. Who gives a shit? Like, honestly, I don't care. Jake McCabe's under 6 feet tall. He doesn't play small. He's under 6 feet tall. Like, he's not out there playing small. So who cares? That's where I'm at. Yeah. So, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Michael's first super chat there, the Kerfoot one?
Oh yeah, like I see him doing some things where he's working really hard and he's trying his best. And it's like he's the little fourth liner that could, and he's chugging along trying to like make something happen, but the dude is just as snake bit as before he was put into the first line. And I've always really liked Kerfoot because he's always really willing to work hard. But the one thing I'll always say about Kerfoot is that he's the kind of guy to generate more smoke than heat for his efforts, and generally never becomes anything. Like Gord was saying, he transports the puck nicely. Yeah, that's great. And I think I agreed with him in that. And I said that he was defensively responsible in the neutral zone. And like all of these are great things to have in a fourth liner,
right? Which
is exactly what he is. And for now, like, I mean, he can transport himself up into the third, but I don't think he has much mobility outside of that. So I see what Michael is saying about him. I definitely don't think he's horrendous or off the charts bad, but he fits in a different spot in the lineup.
Right. And that's kind of where I would go with that is it looks a million times worse because he's playing in the top six and he does not deserve to be in that top six. So that's where I'm at. Is just like, it's not, the player itself is in a role that he doesn't deserve to be in or he shouldn't be in, and it makes him look worse because now he looks a whole lot more out of place. And that's a Sheldon Keefe problem. That's up to Sheldon Keefe. Why is he doing that? So that's the problem for me there. The other super chat here from Michael will get to you right now. So thank you, Michael, for the super chat. Michael saying, being consistent, I was shouting last year, send an email to the Leafs fans' comments not to sign Morgan, even if he asks for $5 million. Mistakes by the GM. You handcuff yourself with an already jammed cap space. So there's not too much to add on this one. I do appreciate the super chat there, Michael. But in essence, Michael is just frustrated with the signing that went on last year and just basically giving himself a little pat on the back that he was the guy last year who said don't sign that deal.
I love that. I see his complaint. I get why. I just if Morgan Riley gets together and there's with all these new D-men around, there's a wake-up call for him and he starts to convert, then I'm willing to let that one go. it all comes to the playoffs. I know it's an easy out for us Leafs fans, but it all comes to the playoffs. If Morgan Riley shows up and is responsible and moves the puck the right way, then I do not give a crap.
I just saw a comment that said, hold on, sorry. I looked at the wrong players thing here in terms of their size. Yes, I see Jake McCabe is 6 foot, 200 pounds. That's what he's listed.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
he's a big boy.
Yeah, is a thick boy. He's not necessarily the tallest person in the world, but yeah, and I see here a comment 6 1/3 saying, "I'm high on us at the moment. No salts needed." Fair. I'm glad to hear that 6 1/3. I appreciate that. But if anybody else wants to see the salts be done again, want to see the pain come into play, make sure to like this stream. There's 230 people watching. We only got 82 likes right now. No way we can't get that up. Yeah, there you go. So hit that like button, run it up, help us out here. But thank you for the super chats here, guys. Thank you, Michael.
You know you want to.
And I see a question here from Vincent Lee. He's saying, where is Luke Shen? Luke Shen is in Vancouver with his partner, girlfriend, wife. I'm not sure what it was, but they're waiting until their child is born before he joins the team, comes back again.
He's having a kid.
Yeah, and the Leafs are paying for him to skate out there and get out on the ice. So, yeah, he's not doing nothing with his time out there, but that's what's going on with Luke Shen right now. That is the gist of that. Andrew, is there anything else that was like sticking out to you? Oh yeah, it's just flipping back and forth there.
Just a small compliment to Sheldon Keefe when the Oilers went onto the attack in that third period near the end, when that like kind of BS before, I think this was before the BS Marner call. There was one part, and maybe you remember better than I do because I wasn't like keeping notes as I was watching, but he put out on the line, he put Lafferty, McCabe, and someone else, and it was fast. He like switched his lineups from having a tough guy on every line. He threw the blender out there, and suddenly we had like an all fast lineup, and we were there on top of Skinner's net, and it was just like one of those moves where you could see that the Oilers were regrouping to like get something going, and then immediately Keefe's move sort of put them on the back foot and sent it back into their zone, even though they were like on a bit of a momentum shift. And I don't know if you remember that point in time, but like it was definitely in the third where like Keefe did this kind of blendered lineup change. I don't know if anyone else saw that.
I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to remember who the third player on that line was, because we saw a million lines tonight.
Yes, that's true.
I know what you're talking about, though. I think maybe it was Achari. One line that I really liked tonight was Camp, Zach and Reese and Achari. They
love that guy.
They were just heavy. They were on the puck. They were in on forechecks. They were finding ways to cause turnovers. They created opportunities. Obviously, Achari scores 2 goals, the second one being the empty netter. But the first goal was created entirely from down low pressure, winning battles, being in the right place, the right time, pushing things out like that, and be able to create that kind of opportunity. So I like that line, and if they can continue to do that and continue to do things like that, you're going to put yourself in a good spot, especially come playoff time, because that is a playoff style of hockey. That is a playoff brand from a lower down line. You don't got to go out there and do everything super skilled like we've seen before, or like your big boys do. But you know what you got to do? You got to do the little things out on the ice. So I really liked that. Is there anything else for you from this game here tonight, or in general, Andrew? Because I know we got Gord on the line waiting to call in after.
He's a good caller to have in. You want to hear this guy's perspective. The only other thing I'll say, I'll just give them my quick grade of the game, goodie style, not your breakdown. I'll give this an A-, and the minus comes from Matt Murray. Like, I know he kind of settled down, but I mentioned it earlier. That's a .857 save percentage from a guy that's absolutely massive. Like, you'd think just from his size alone, he'd stop more pucks. But other than that, I thought the performance from all lines only really started getting clicking like partially through the first period. And I made it as a question earlier, so maybe you want to touch on this with Gord. But do you notice that the Leafs don't seem to come out right away? Maybe they get a shot off on the rush, but like after that, they get kind of taken back, and then they seem to get used to their opponents, and then they seem to move in and start making plays. But like that's something I noticed. The first period, they don't always come out fast and sharp. So
no, I agree with that.
That'll be my last thought of it, and I'll leave you with Gord to talk about that.
Well, hold on before you go. Before you go, two good comments here that I saw. First one is from Mark. I said you need to do the little things. Mark says the ladies don't appreciate little things though. So there you go. There's
Good one, Randy. Good one.
Nice.
There's that. And the other one is, and I'll get your thoughts on this really quick. 6 1/3 says, yes, Zach, my friend Kevin is done with the Keefe blender. How about you and Andrew? Where do you stand on the Keefe blender? Are you tired of this? Are you done seeing this? Where are you at?
If it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid. Sometimes he pulls out the blender and it works. I hated it in the playoffs last year, especially in that last game. But like, this is a different time with the different kind of Leafs lineup that's seems to be designed around a blender. We've got like 3 forwards that can be interchangeable, and at that point, it's almost like they're building it around. Okay, the strategy of the Leafs team is now to have a blender. That's the mainstay. That's the thing. That's what's going to win us a cup.
Yeah, I would say that that's it. It is what it is. We're going to have to continue to see this, especially as we get to the playoffs. And with no Ryan O'Reilly in, there's going to be no real comfort that we're going to see out of these guys. So it'll be interesting to continue to monitor and watch that because even if we don't like this blender, we're going to have to see it until we get to the playoffs, because you're going to see guys coming in and out. You're going to see Steves maybe go back to 12-6 again, then 11-7, and things are just going to be different. It's going to be different from shift to shift. It has been very fluid. Sheldon Keefe likes to make things fluid. He's had success making things fluid in the regular season. So that's where we're at on that. But Andrew, final words from you before you go here. What's the final thing? You got maybe words of encouragement, a hot take? What is it?
Leafs are going to face Tampa in the playoffs.
Yep.
They're going to win that series 5-1 after losing the first game.
Wait. 5-1. You think they're going to win 4 games?
They got to win. They're going to win 4 games in a row after they lose the first one.
Okay, so in 5. I see.
And I believe that if the Leafs can get out of the first round, then all the pressure is off. No more holding back. That's just going to be something else when they go into it doesn't matter if it's Boston. It doesn't matter who it is at all. At that point, the monkey's off their back and they'll be ready to go. That's my hot take. Might not even be that hot. Some of the people here.
I like it. Well, Andrew, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the work you do in the chat. Andrew is one of the OGs on the Leafs Digest channel. Busier this year, so hasn't been able to be in here for the calls as much, but I know he's watching and is involved. So thank you very much for that. It is always appreciated.
You guys take care. Hit like. We're only 5 away from more smelling salts. And I would like to hear Gord's reaction to that, okay? Seriously. Do it for Gord. Okay. Right. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it. All right, here we go. Next caller. We'll welcome him in. We got the hotline rolling tonight. People are getting fired up. We're getting people, we're getting participation here. That's what we're looking for out of you guys in the chat. So Gord will be hopping in here real quick. But before I get to Gord and we play Gord's animation, I'm going to get to a super chat here real quick from Michael. Michael saying, super chat here from Michael. Michael saying, Zach, still remember 99 high stick on Gilmore. Since then, this roster have the best chance to have a good run. However, the chances are getting slimmer each year. It makes crazy because Dubas rookie mistake from 18 to 22. I mean, it's not really rookie mistake anymore if you're like 5 years into your professional general managing career. Unfortunately, I don't remember the high stick from being there. I remember the high stick because I've seen it a million times. But yeah, I don't know what to say with that, Michael. And it is what it is. It's unfortunate at this point, but thank you for the super chat. But here we go. We're going to get to the man himself, the guy everyone's been waiting to hear from. We haven't heard from him on a call-in in a little bit. But before I can get to that, I have to play the animation because it is now one of my favorite things ever. Let's get to Gord's Corner.
Okay, are you ready? Let's go! Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Sugar, spice, everything nice. Have a little class and do it right. I gotta say the way I feel. That's right. Buttercup, this is serious stuff. I love the people. You ready? Go. I don't get enough time in this show. I love the people. How's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. How you doing? Lovely to look at and delightful to see. Love the hat. A wise guy, eh? You look good, really. You look good. Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Doing that one for the old grapes. Go down blazing.
There we go. Gord's Corner. Had to bring that back. Haven't got to see it in a little while. Gord, I think we might be having your connecting to audio there still. I don't know if it's connected quite yet. Can you hear me? Yeah, I think Gord's audio is still connecting. So once his audio connects, then we'll get it. But in the meantime, I do see that you guys got us to 100 likes here on the stream. So Gord, we won't be able to hear him yet, but when we can hear him, hopefully you can give me his reaction to having to watch these smelling salts go on. But we'll get back to this. Oh God, so strong. All right, there you go. If you guys continue to like the stream, we can do that more. Gord, I think your audio works now. How's it going? You might be on mute, or your mic might not be working. All right, well, while Gord figures that out, I'll keep checking. I'll see if there's any way that I could help him out here and see if we can fix this. But there is another super chat here. Super chat from Michael. Thank you, Michael, for the super chat. Michael saying, Zach, do you agree the players Dubas acquired this month are different from the previous 5 years? Don't you wish he did them 5 years ago? Yes, I do agree that they're different from previous years. I do think that they were. I think that it's a different scenario. It's a different build of players. I think he's become pretty comfortable switching around and getting himself into a spot of not changing his philosophy, but adapting his philosophy. And yes, I would have loved to see him come out and have this be his philosophy, or like the way that he was willing to structure his team right from the beginning. Wasn't ultimately the case, but he kind of said, okay, this isn't working. Let me get things going. So then he ultimately ended up saying, all right, I still believe in this way of things. I'm going to have it built out this way, but I'll support it with a mix of other stuff to get stuff going. And Gord, I think maybe you can hear you now.
Yeah. How's that? Can you
there
hear
we
me now?
go. There we go. Gord. All right. Few things for you to react to. So real quick, I'm going to ask you right off the top. You're seeing me do the smelling salts. Like, what are your immediate thoughts watching that go down?
Yeah, I'd say lay off those salts. You don't want to do them too much, man. What is it? It's ammonium nitrate or something? I don't know. You're gonna spank your brain there, guy.
It's ammonium chloride. Says it's fine.
Okay.
I did some research into it. They do it. This is the same ones that they use in the NHL.
Yeah, they're using them in the NHL, but you can see they're holding him fair distance from their nose when they're doing it, and only for a short while. I don't think they're doing it over and over again for like an hour. So I go a little easy if I were you.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Don't trust the manufacturers. Don't trust the manufacturers.
Okay. And second thing here, you got to watch the intro Does it still feel you still like it as much as when you saw it the first time?
I love it, man. I'm humbled. I'm humbled by it. I appreciate it. I love it. I get a lot of flack from the chat, but it's all good, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but I think everyone in the chat appreciates and respects your opinion. I think sometimes it gets a little hostile, which I understand, but I think that no matter what, people just enjoy the spirited debate, and people are on different sides of things, so hopefully it never goes too far. But yes, I think sometimes you can be a little controversial, that's for sure. I'm not going to disagree with that.
But it's good, man. You need of course, you need someone to give a little pushback on some of these ideas and some of these positions, right? I mean, Goody was good at that. That was one thing. Like, I'm really impressed the way you are carrying on without Goody, and mostly doing that by involving the chat. But you're doing a heck of a job. I mean, everybody can agree this show is like the best Leafs show on the air, man. So kudos to Leafs Digest, man. And kudos to you, Zach. Good job.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Goody being gone, I do know you mean, and having the guy there who has the different opinion, we bounce things back and forth. I do understand that, but yeah, as it is right now, he's obviously doing some other stuff with doing more Raptors things, so that's where his time and focus has gone to. But yeah, and also super chat here.
When you're involving the chat, tends to make up for it, so it's good. And the chat, there's a lot of good back and forth on there. So yeah, I like getting into it. So, and I don't know where to start. I don't want if we want to go to the Hall thing, but I think.
Well, let's start with some of the stuff because there is the super chat here, and I want to know your opinions on it. So we'll run through that, and then I know we're gonna get into Hall conversation throughout this. So I know we will, but there is a super chat here. I just want to make sure I address it as well. Mark sending a super chat. Thank you, Mark, for that super chat. He just sent an emoji. For those who didn't see, and the emoji, the emoji on the screen is a salt shaker. So that was what he sent. So thank you, Mark, for that. And yes, so this is the one I wanted to get your thoughts on because I kind of touched on that briefly while you were connecting audio there, but now you're here. So Michael said, just to reiterate it, Zach, do you agree the players Dubas acquired this month are different from the previous 5 years? And then says, don't you wish he did them 5 years ago? So starting at the beginning here, Gord, with this, do you agree that the players Dubas acquired this month are different from the previous 5 years? I'll get you to answer that. And then on top of that, in what way are they different to you?
Yeah, I think they're different, but you got to remember that he went out and got Foligno, right? So we're probably talking about guys who are playing heavy down low hockey. You know, those are the heavy guys that, he went out and got Foligno. Who else did he go out and make a deal for at the deadline?
In previous years?
Yeah.
Well, he did Blackwell, Gio, some of the ones that were a little bit
solid, right? That's similar to the McCabe deal, right? So that's similar.
Some
and
of the
picking
ones
up that extra, of course, Achari's much better than Blackwell. I mean, that guy is just what a get that guy is. Oh my goodness! I mean, the guy is a fire hydrant.
Yes,
like you can't move him. And here's one of the things the Leafs have been lacking: forwards that drive the net. Forwards that drive the net. You see him drive the net on that play and get the power play to get the Matthews goal. I mean, that kind of play has been lacking sorely in the Leafs game. I mean, Mikheyev did it a little bit. Mikheyev would drive the net a little bit, but I think Achari's has a lot better defensive game awareness, etc., than Mikheyev does. So, and maybe a little bit better hands too.
Well, and he's mean, right?
He's just so determined. He just plays so determined, like every shift, just determined. And he's really aware. He's defensively aware. He knows where to be. He's on top of the puck. He really looked solid tonight. Really, he's looked solid throughout. But I mean, aside from Marner, who's just lights out, I mean, he really helped change the tide of the game tonight.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think that's very, very fair, and he continues to do that. That's something that he's kind of done through most of this season, and I think that one of the criticisms that I've had of him, he showed a little bit early on, and he's kind of seems to have taken that out of his game even when things aren't going well, and I know we've had disagreements over it, but I think that I think he still has that little minor hockey diva in him a little bit, where he is the best player, and then if things don't go as right, he can get that pouty face a little bit going. And with him and the energy that he has, the energy he brings and he plays with, he's a guy where how he presents himself, it permeates throughout the rest of the group. And then that can kind of bring up or down the energy that the other guys out there have. And then you see him in a situation like this where maybe the other day, the other games that we played over the last week where things weren't perfect, he didn't really get into that position. He didn't really start to be in a position where he was having that poutiness. And no, the team didn't get to a much better place, but you didn't get that negative energy and vibe around him. And I think he's doing a much better job at conducting himself, essentially.
Yeah, okay. So like we went through this before. Like Marner can be sucky, but Crosby's a suck too, right? But no one bitches about Crosby being a suck other than opposing teams, right? I don't think Pittsburgh fans are whining about when Crosby's sucking out, right? Which he can do quite often, just as often or more than Marner does. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just that we're Leaf fans, so that we're watching Leaf games, and when he's sucking out, they're obviously the Leafs are losing at that point, or things are going badly at that point. So we feel it, and we see Marner and we go, what are you doing? Come on, pick it up. What do you pick up your big pouty face? And
Yeah.
like we see that, but we don't have that same reaction when we see Crosby doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think our bias is shows through it when it comes with Marner, right? But come on. I mean, just look at his anticipation, the way he steals pucks, the way he reads plays, the way he gets into lanes. Like, the guy is the best defensive forward in the NHL, bar none. He just reads things so well. I mean, I'm astounded. I mean, people who hate Marner, they all they do is they whine about his he's a figure skater, and I'm like, what? that guy's agility is just insane. I mean, as a fan of hockey, don't you just like watching that stuff?
Yes.
I mean, don't you just like watching that stuff? I mean, because when we watch hockey, all of us and most of us have grown up playing hockey. Like, we feel the game vicariously. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't want to see, like, of course, it's guys like Achari and stuff like that, those mudders out there who muck it up and grind it up. We love to see that. But when we see guys like Matthews and Marners and McDavid just pulling off these spectacular plays, it feels good to watch. You know what I'm saying? So, So for me, Marner is just my favorite player to watch, man. I just love the guy.
I think he's a lot of fun to watch as well. I'm going to ask you a question here before we get into the Hall conversation. Matthews looked a lot better tonight. He obviously ends up walking away from this game with a goal and an assist. He had 8 shots tonight. He blocks a shot. He looked very good to me. And we saw points in this game with Matthews where he essentially started to look like he had that level of dominance to him, where he could go out there and take over a shift, take over a period, and turn things around or push things in the right direction. Matthews has been a point of conversation all season long because he hasn't had the offensive production he's had in years past. He does hit 30 goals here now. It's his 7th consecutive season doing so, which dates back to the very first year he played in the NHL, which is absurd to even think about, that this guy's putting up 30 plus every year since he joined the NHL. But for you watching him, I think tonight is a little bit of a booster for Leafs fans to watch him and see him do that. Score goals in big moments, score big goals that were happening there, push things out of reach, all that kind of stuff in this game. Have you been worried about Matthews? And now, especially after you've seen him in this game here tonight, you're going to look at him going forward. Are you concerned about Matthews and the lack of offensive production we've seen from him so far this season?
No, I'm not really concerned because obviously he's been hurt, or like I joked before that maybe he's smoking weed or something, but who knows, right? No, I think he's been it looks like he's been hurt. He's been nursing some injuries, etc. So I'm not that concerned. Of course, I'm concerned if Matthews isn't dominating, then our chances of advancing in the playoffs are not going to be good, right? So of course that's a concern to me. But he looked determined tonight. I liked his determination. Like when I said he looked a little bit pissed off, and when Marner got that beautiful pickoff goal for the second goal. Matthews just looks absolutely electric. Like he just, from that point on, he just looks so determined. I really think you got to keep those two guys together, because I think Nylander, as good as Nylander is, he's not the playmaker Marner is, and Matthews is a shooter. Like Matthews is also a playmaker too. He's got great stick handling skills, and he can dish the puck too. So, but you want to have Marner with Matthews, because Marner he's the disher, right? And you want to put Nylander with another guy that can. That's a problem, right? Because now what are you going to do with you're going to put him with Tavares, but Tavares is a shooter too, right? So those two guys don't really link. So that's why Keefe just keeps pushing those two guys, Marner, back and forth on either Tavares's or O'Reilly's line and Matthews' line, because he's trying to get the playmaker with the shooters. Mm-hmm. And then when one shooter starts, dipping a little bit, he put Marner with the guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a good problem to have, I guess, in a sense, where you got so many good shooters, but you got that one guy who is the elite setup guy that you can move around. But I guess it's a long-winded way of saying, I'm not concerned about Matthews. I'm really, I hope he's healthy. It's hard to tell, it's a long season and guys get banged up, whatever, and he's nursing some injuries. So I'm just if he's like 90% healthy going into the playoffs, I'm really, really confident. And I think I mentioned in the chat that I've been tracking Tampa for about a month and a half now. In other words, watching every Tampa game. And Tampa they look tired. They look beat up. I don't know if it's all those playoff runs year after year, like 3 consecutive final playoff runs. Their defense is looking slow. They got Bogosian playing on a second pairing. They got you want to get on Hall? Have you seen Hedman recently? Really seen him watching full games. Hedman is he's struggling. He's getting caught in between plays in the cycle. He looks hurt or something, because he looks like he doesn't want to commit to a play because he's going to get caught out of position. So what happens is he gets in between plays, and there's a couple of games, giveaways. So he's looking a little bit rough right now, and I think he's hurt. I think Hedman's hurt.
Stamkos hurt tonight.
Pardon me?
Stamkos got hurt tonight.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you're gonna have a beat up, tired team. Of course, you still got the X factor in Vasilevsky in the net, right? So that's the big thing.
That's the scary one.
But then you got, that's scary. But look at the shooters on the Leafs, right? If they can just play with some confidence, and they can play, and they can get some momentum, and that first game is such a big game for them. So that home ice is really important, I think. I'm seeing Jeffrey Curry saying here that Tampa is thinner on D, and they're right. He's right. So the Tampa this year is not as good as the Tampa last year, and the Leafs this year is better than the Leafs last year, I think.
I would agree with that. But Gord, we know this team well enough to know that it just sets up for the perfect opportunity for the Leafs to have some type of tremendous letdown, and then the media to rip on it and be like, well, all these guys were hurt and they still lost. Like, I'm optimistic that it's different this year, but jokingly, we know that is reality of the situation for what's going on here with this Leafs team, especially over the past few years. But let's get into it here. We have to talk about this. It's something that is currently, he's trending on Twitter right now. His name is trending on Twitter.
Why is his name trending on Twitter? Why is his name trending on Twitter in today's game? Today's game, Mitch Marner should be trending on Twitter.
Yes.
Mitch Marner should be trending on Twitter. I don't know what people just love to hate, man. I don't know what it is. Especially Leaf fans. I guess it's all those years of losing, right? I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I played for Don Mills Flyers in Pee Wee, and Larry Murphy was on our team. So I know very much about how people get run out of town in this city, man. It's absolutely ridiculous how fans treat players. It really is. And I know it's from years of losing and disappointment, but Jesus. They did the same thing with Reimer, attacking Reimer's wife on Twitter and whatnot. It just Reimer wasn't that bad of a goaltender. He was a decent goaltender. He played some good hockey, but he's not a number one guy. But Jesus, the fans are just brutal here. Absolutely.
I think that they are. I think sometimes they cross a line, but I think that the criticism of him is justified in terms of the lack of ability to make an impact on a game in a positive way. And I think that second goal was pretty evident of some of the issues that he has and some of the reasons why he can't be out there in spots like that. That was a bad display of defense and skating by Hall on that second goal.
Okay, let's go to that second goal. Okay, so you got McDavid coming down and he's got 2 steps on. I saw Bieksa in the intermission going, I don't like Hall reaching there when he's got the Matthews backtracking. Matthews is 2 strides behind the fastest guy ever in the game with the puck. So what is Hall going to do there? He tries to slow him down at the blue line by giving him the reach, and what's he supposed to do? Cheat towards Kane so to open up the seas for McDavid just to walk right down the middle? No, he can't do that. He's got to play cautious, and he's got to play McDavid as well as be conscious of Kane on that play. So he does reach too soon. But you're talking bang, bang play with the fastest and best hockey player ever coming down at you, okay? So you got a bang, bang play at the blue line. He does the reach a little too soon. But then he turns around and he gets his stick on puck on Kane. Like if you watch that play right to the near side post, his stick is right on the puck with Kane. But he's cut off from the net, so he can't cut Kane off. So Kane goes around. Murray gets himself caught up in the near side post, and he can't make a post-to-post play. That's Murray. And Gio, who's coming back on the other side, doesn't take the check and cut Kane off coming around the other side. So what happens? That's Hall's fault. I don't see that. If there's one fault in that play, go over the play again. It's Hall makes that reach a little too soon, a hair too soon on the fastest, best player in the game, where it's bang, 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 a bang, bang play. So I don't know, man. I think that's if you're pinpointing that and go, oh, look at Hall, he's brutal on that play. That's not the play to do it. There's some plays that he looked brutal on in the last couple of games, no question. That play, I don't know, man. I think that's being overcritical on a really, really tough play and a tough read.
So I think he did 2 things wrong, or a few things wrong in that one specifically, and they all were basically the neutral zone. I agree with you once it got past the blue line and once the play developed there. The Murray thing, that was 100% Murray, and then there were other guys coming around the net the other side. So I'll give you that, and I agree with that. What he did in the neutral zone, though, is the first problem was where he was positioned in the neutral zone, and why I refer to it as this and have a bigger problem with it than just being a one-off play, a bang bang play, is because the other night, I believe it was against New Jersey, there was a play where he was standing at center ice skating backwards, and a Devils player was at the blue line behind him, skating on a breakaway into the Leaf zone as he got a pass across, and Hall just continued to skate backwards. He's finding himself out of position, not aware of where other guys were. So then the other piece of this is, you did mention Matthews' back checking. Yes, I understand that McDavid is the fastest player in the NHL right now, but you have to have some faith in some of the guys on your team. And what he did was he was in the middle of the ice, so Kane was able to open up space on the other side. You had Matthews back checking on to McDavid, and he had Gio there. So he's in the middle of the ice, and as he's coming across and doing the reach, The other thing that he did that really, truly screwed himself was he crossed over towards Gio. So he was already far enough into the middle, and then as he did the reach, at the same time, he crossed over the wrong way, and as soon as that happened, McDavid recognized it and pushed the puck out to the other side. One of the things you're taught as a forward when you're playing and you're going down on one-on-ones against defensemen and stuff is changing direction. It's something we saw Connor McDavid do against Morgan Riley a couple years ago when he put him on the highlight reel. He did it to a T, where as soon as you see the defenseman's feet cross over the one way, you cut back and you go the other. He did that effectively with another player, utilizing another player there, and Hull just dragged himself completely out of the play by just not trusting or understanding that he had support from Gio and he had Matthews back checking there. If he's in a position where he's a little bit more actually being in position and not standing in the middle of the ice 5 feet away from Gio at that point, and he's not reaching to go forward at McDavid and not committing to the play where he could step up on him or something, and he's just trying to poke the puck, that is the cause of the problem, which allows this easy zone entry, and then Kane has an opportunity to drive to the net. Ultimately, he does end up taking it around, and I do agree with you with Murray and the guys coming back. Maybe someone could have picked him off on the other side, but that's the big issue that I had there is he's slow. I don't think he's good at gap control, and he lacks ability with his feet where he doesn't have that agility to be able to go the right way or change directions quickly.
Okay, that's a fair point, but I wouldn't say he's not good at gap control. He has an excellent gap, actually. He's one of the best Leafs on the team, and that's his size. And he is an excellent skater. He really is an excellent skater. So I agree with you that you shouldn't cross over there and you get caught up. But I disagree that he took himself totally out of the play, because he was able to recover and get a stick on the puck and not allow Kane to get a play on net on the short side. He took away that play from Kane. Even though he was a half a step behind him, he had the reach, he had the stick on the puck, and the play was made on the other side of the net. And that's not Hall's assignment on the other side of the net. That's Gio, and that's Murray getting over, which he didn't get over because he caught himself up on the post.
Yeah,
okay.
And I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that.
I remember. I think it was Jasper Brad or something. I remember that play, and he did get. You're right. He did get caught. He did get caught on that play. But you know who else got caught? Brody got caught. Riley got caught. There was a couple of plays where Jersey players got in behind Leafs D, right?
But not to that extent. That was a very. He was the last man back. The rest of the players were
the blue line in. I understand. It was the blue line in, and the other one was like face-off circle. The one on Brody, as I recall, was top of the face-off circle in. So
yeah.
But the thing is when the other D make those glaring mistakes, you don't see it unless it's Riley, but you don't see the guys in the chat like lambasting these other guys the way they do Hall. Like, you want to go back to Game 7 of the Tampa series? Everyone's like Hall. Game 7 of the Tampa series was Brody and Riley. Brody getting walked by Nick Paul, like he's standing still, waving a stick around like it's ball hockey. He gets walked by Nick Paul. They score the game-winning goal there. The goal before that, Riley gives up an ocean of gap at the blue line, the pass goes over. Riley then neglects to pick up Paul on the back door for an easy tap in. Both of those goals were Riley and Hall that cost Game 7. But all you see in the chat or Twitter or whatever, Hall against Tampa. And in Tampa, he had a bad play in the overtime against Tampa in Game 6. He had a tough play in Game 6 in overtime. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was one of those things. It was one of those ones where he handcuffed himself. He handcuffed himself on the puck and turned it over, and Tampa scored. But other than that, and there was another goal early where he shot it up along the boards. It got picked off and it went to Stamkos and they scored. I think that was in Game 2. That was in Game 2, and people are going, yeah, look at Hall again. And if you look at that play from behind the net, there was a shot from behind the net where I think it was Hagel. Hagel was the forechecker. Hagel is right on him. and he's standing in front of the net. He's not up in the boards where you can put it against the boards, pin it, and protect it. He's in front of the net. It's a bang bang play. There's a Tampa Bay player at the blue line who is, if Hall tries to go up the center of the ice, that Tampa Bay player is going to pick it off for sure. The only play there is up the boards, and for some reason Bunting was at the red line. And there was a guy on the boards who picked the puck off and sent it over to, and then people, Hall. Look at Hall. Oh, Hall blowing it again for the Leafs. That wasn't on Hall, that play. That's on the winger blowing the zone way, way too early. That winger's got to be below the dot on the wall on that play. And then everyone blamed Hall. And that's what I say sometimes. You don't know what you're looking at. These people in the chat that are like, oh, Hall. You don't know what you're looking at. It's that play was on Bunting for not being in the right spot there. That you go back to basic hockey. That's basic hockey. There's no way on a contested play like that Bunting should have been at the red line, and he was, and that got turned over. And those are the two plays. Like I said, go back and look at Justin Bourne's Twitter and look at Justin Bourne on Justin Hall Tampa series, May 11th, 2022. He's got two 2-minute videos of Hall during that Tampa series doing all those little unspectacular things that people don't notice but are very effective in closing off entries, shutting down cycles, blocking shots, all of those things that he does well, which is why I keep saying and I keep harping, this is why Keefe likes him. This is why Keefe likes him, because they go over hours and hours and hours of game film, and they're making decisions that are going to cost their job. And these are guys who have experience in hockey, and they say, look, here's what he's doing well. This is why we need to keep him in the lineup. Yeah. Hall does a lot of things poorly too. He gets himself handcuffed. He's not physical in front of the net. The guy needs to take a cross check every once in a while. Like I said a while ago about the Jenner goal against Columbus. They're up 2-0. It's the first period. Jenner's in front of the net. He doesn't tie up his stick. He tips a goal in. It's 2-1. Next thing you know, Columbus gets rolling. Columbus comes back and wins the game. You're up 2-0 against the worst power play in the league. And some guy in front of them, there's your prime opportunity to take a vicious Shea Weber cross check to the guy's back. Send a message not only to Columbus, but to other teams. You understand? So there's things I understand that he doesn't do well, but there's things he does well. There are things that he does well. Go, like I said, anybody on this chat, it's May 11th, 2022. Go look at those two 2-minute postings on Twitter by Justin Bourne, and you'll see, not spectacular, but effective. Okay, look, so that's it for
here's the thing. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. Firstly is that, yes, I understand that there's a video out there and you can break it down and say, watch videos of him getting into the cycle, but there is the ability to make a clip for every one good thing that he does to have 10 bad things or 10 egregious mistakes. And I think that the other things get called out for other guys. I think that you kind of downplayed the Morgan Rielly situation in terms of what happens with when Morgan Rielly makes mistakes. He gets ridiculed. Alex Kerfoot, he gets ridiculed. These other guys get ridiculed online. William Nylander, people were trying to get rid of him, saying we paid too much at $6.9 million for William Nylander, and now he's about $5 million underpaid compared to market or $4 million underpaid compared to market with the production that he's put up. Like, these other guys have experienced that. The thing is that these other guys, they make mistakes here and there. Justin Hall continuously does them. Like, that is the fabric of his game, making mistakes, falling down. Looking at the tripping penalty he takes on McDavid tonight, he tripped over his own feet and knocked down and then ends up taking out McDavid. I understand it's an accident. I'm not saying like it was a ridiculous thing, but it's just that is stuff that we see from him.
But Liljegren takes a bad tripping penalty too. A guy who's not even in the play, he tripped him up, a Fogle. Okay, so So we're going to focus on Hall takes.
But that's a net front battle. That's a net front battle. This is Hall just not being able to skate because he's not agile and he doesn't have that ability. He can't catch guys, can't turn quickly, can't transition with play. And as he's trying to catch McDavid, yes, he's the fastest player in the NHL, but as he's trying to catch McDavid, trips on his own feet trying to chase him and then trips him. Yes, it was an accident. I understand, Matt. But the other one that's being pointed out here was a net front battle that led to that. And then you're saying like you want to see physicality, you want to see guys fight and push things around and get involved in these net front things. There you go. That happens. It's a net front thing. He gets a penalty, but now it's not a good thing that he's done that because Hall did this and he's getting upset. People getting mad at him, so we should be mad at him.
It's a net front battle. I agree, but it's a careless play with his stick, with two hands on the stick that takes the feet out from under the guy. So that's the look. I'm gonna agree with you on Hall can be clumsy. Hall can be clumsy at times. But again, he is effective in the things that he does well, and
he can kill penalties. But the problem is like his time on ice should be basically only at 5-on-4 killing penalties. Like that's it, because he's not effective at 5v5. He's not very good at 5v5 and struggles with puck movement, struggles with that. He can't hit guys. Like when he hits guys, he's typically the one falling over, even though he's the one delivering hits. Like there's all these things, and the Game 7 one, I don't think he's the reason that Game 7 was lost, but you want to know the most pivotal moment in Game 7, the most like frowned upon thing that happened in that no one's ever going to forget, is that John Tavares scored the goal, and it got called back from an interference call. Bogus or not, it got called back from an interference pick call. Justin Hall was the one who laid the pick.
An interference pick that if it hadn't happened, Tavares wouldn't have scored, and on the ensuing power play, Tampa didn't score. That's an insignificant play. It's an insignificant play.
The goal was taken away, though. The goal was taken away.
Tavares wouldn't have scored without.
He had space and time. Like there was opportunity for him to still be able to score. It's not determined fully one way or the other that he would or would not have scored. But the point that I'm making though is that he is going to constantly be the guy who was the guy who had the goal taken away because he had the interference play on the goal in Game 7. So when we're talking about, why is he trending after that? Why are people talking about him after that? It's because he makes mistakes all season long. No one wants him in the lineup except for Sheldon Keefe, so he stays in the lineup to the point that they actually didn't even play him in the first two games. And then we're like, we'll put him back in there. Likely because Sheldon Keefe wanted him in there and the other guys weren't in agreement, but they put him back in.
Why does Keefe want him in there? Why does Keefe want him in
I don't know, but why did Babcock want Marinson in there? Why did Babcock not put Tyson Barrie on the power play? Why is Morgan Riley still on power play number 1 right now with Sheldon Keefe? Why did all of these things happen? Coaches make stupid mistakes. This shit happens with coaches, though, Gordon. You can't sit here and say...
Do you think Shanahan would have a word on that?
I don't know, because when Babcock was the coach of the Leafs, he continued to do that shit too. So it stayed there. Coaches make mistakes and do dumb stuff all the time. They don't see things the way other people see them all the time, and sometimes it can cost them their jobs, or it can cost them playoff series. It can cost them things like that. That is something to me, like, I adamantly disagree with on you being like, well, he's an NHL coach and he played in the league. Wayne Gretzky is the best NHL player of all time, the best hockey player of all time, and he was a terrible coach. He was a terrible coach. Playing in the league has no effect on your ability to coach or identify talent. It's the honest truth. Like, it does not.
I agree.
So that is a relevant point in this. And then I understand you're saying, yes, he's sitting there watching this film and making the determination of him supposed to be in there, but he's made these mistakes before. He sat out Liljegren, and then all of a sudden Liljegren starts playing and starts getting time on ice. He became the second best defenseman on this team this year. He was, for a large period of time during this season, as soon as they started giving him minutes, it happened. Like, they make mistakes. They value players too much and potentially undervalue other players in certain situations. And it happens with every coach. And I think that Justin Hall is just Sheldon Keefe's guy that he looks at here in this situation. And that's the guy he overvalues. That's his kryptonite on this Leafs team. That is his kryptonite as a coach, where you look back and you're like, that's the player he needs to have in the lineup because for whatever reason, he's in love with them and wants him out there. And ultimately, that may be the player who costs him his job and the Leafs the season. Like, I'm not saying it is, but it truly could potentially get to that point. Like, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. What if it goes to Game 7 and Sheldon Keefe's so gung-ho about having him out there? He's like, yep, Halsey, get out on the ice. It gets in a bad situation, has a bad turnover, it falls in the corner. Tampa scores, we lose the series, we're done. We lose in the first round again. Guess what? Dubas, gone. Potentially Shanahan, gone. Keefe, gone. Coaching staff, gone. Like, they're all gone. Hall, gone at that point. Like, these guys are all gone. And that could be because Sheldon Keefe is so stubborn on this situation. He's got to have the guy out there. Like, that's just where I come to with it. And it's coaches everywhere make mistakes. Coaches everywhere do some dumb shit sometimes.
If Hall were as bad as everyone says he is, Shanahan would step in there regardless of what Keefe decides to do. Shanahan would step in there. He's not going to let this team blow their window because the coach likes a guy he doesn't think is capable of doing the job.
But what is he going to do? What is he going to do? He can't fire. He's not going to fire Keefe right now. Like, what is he going to do?
He's not going to fire Keefe, but he's going to tell him bench Hall and put in. He's going to go down there and tell him bench Hall and put whomever in ahead of Hall.
And then Keefe says, all right, sounds good. I'm going to play 11 forwards and 7 defensemen so that I can have the guy.
That actually, I like the 7. That was one of the points you brought up earlier about Keefe mixing it up. And I like the 7-11. I like the 7-11 mix. I like the 7-11 mix for this actual purpose. Hall can play third pairing minutes. Hall can play PK, and you can get Gustafsson in there and put him on first power play. And I like the forward arrangement better with 11 guys because you can get certain guys more ice time. So I think I like it better that way. And as soon as Riley gets back, I'd like to see Zach Reese out because I've been a little bit disappointed with Zach Reese. He played a decent game tonight, but he's slow on his reads. He hustles around, yeah, but he's slow on his reads. I really like Lafferty. I like Lafferty over Zach Reese. And I'd like to see when O'Reilly gets back, I'd like to see Zach Reese as the guy on the outside. And I'd like to see them go with that 11 and 7. And then that way you can mix in Gustafsson and you can mix in Hall every once in a while for the PK and on the third pairing with Gio, where he belongs. He shouldn't be up playing on second or first or second pairing. He's a third pairing guy. He's a 6 or 7 guy. I fully admit that. Like, people on this chat and people think that I think Hall is just like amazing defenseman. No, I think he's a solid defenseman. I think he's a solid 6 or 7 guy who does things well that people don't give credit for. And that's why I'm always supporting Hall. Look, I don't think Hall is this wonderful, amazing defenseman. I think he's a solid 6 or 7 guy who's playing higher up than really where he should be. He should be slotted 6 or 7. And he's a good guy to have as a 6 or a 7 because the Stanley Cup playoffs, I say it again and again, it's a 2-month war that's played every other night. There's going to be injuries.
I know, but he's not a war guy. He's not. He's soft. He's a no battle. He can't win battles.
He's soft. I understand he's soft, but he doesn't. I understand he's soft. He's not a physical guy. I 100% agree with you on that. He's not a physical guy.
But then, why do you feel like he fits into the war, like the battle of the playoffs? Like,
because he's durable. He's durable.
But if you're gonna win a Stanley Cup, you're not looking for durable guys who can just take up a couple minutes a night and then maybe go a dash one. Like,
physical. You got to concede this, right? He's good at protecting the puck. Like, he'll get the puck and he'll take the hit. He takes hits to make plays, right? Do you agree with that? He'll take hits to make plays.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you agree with that? Okay, and he's good at pinning the puck and allowing his teammate to take the puck when he pins it, so he'll protect the puck. So night after night, you're getting heavy forechecking, bang, 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 bang. You got Hall will turn, push the puck up against the wall, protect the puck, kick it off or push it off to a teammate. We get possession of the puck goes the other way. So we avoid the turnover on the forecheck. He does that well. He does that very, very well. There's a lot of things that he can be big and he can be durable and he can be physical besides hitting guys and besides cross-checking guys in front of the net, which we'd all love to see him do more. Nobody more than me wants to see that. Trust me, I'm yelling at my TV screen too when he's like, come on, guy, take a cross-check. What are you doing? Tie up the guy's stick at least. I'm doing it too. I'm doing it just like the rest of the guys. But what I'm not doing is I'm not missing the things that he does well that everybody else is just ignoring or neglecting or failing to see.
Yeah.
Okay, can we move on from Hall?
Yeah, we can move on. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that we're gonna get to a point of agreement on him whether or not he deserves to be in the lineup. And I mean, I look at also the right-handed defenseman. I just think he's pushed down. But is in terms of like playoff success for me, and it's not. This isn't even about Hall. This is just straight up just about the build of the team, the way that they run things out there. Like I don't like the 11-7 because no one ever essentially gets in an opportunity to be in a groove. Forwards or defensemen. One thing that is important, yes, you can go to the blender and you can use the blender to shake things up and create different matchups for the other team. But one thing that you have that becomes a problem with the 11-7 is that you can get to a point where you lack comfortability with each other. And when you bring in all these new guys, I think that could be a bit of a problem. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, I think it's of course it's going to be an issue if you're just putting guys in and out of the lineup, But if you get a set 11 forwards out there, like the Leafs can make 3 solid lines, and then they can have the fourth line can be 2 guys that you can mix someone else. You can mix somebody else in there. Mm-hmm. You can mix somebody else in there on that. And really, forwards, they'll tell you, man, 3 lines, they'd love it. They would love it, forwards, just to go with 3 lines. And then every once in a while, you throw out the 4th line and you mix somebody else in there who's going or who's an effective forechecker or an effective, like a guy like Lafferty or Achari or Camp, right? Who you can mix those guys in there. And you can guys that are specialists like Gustafsson, you can use them on the PP. Gustafsson, I haven't seen much of him prior. I hadn't paid attention to him, but he looks poised. He's not here's another guy who's not physical. So that's an issue. He's not physical, but he looks poised and he's in position a lot. He seems to read the play really well. So give the guy a shot on first power play because Riley is so stiff and telegraphs the passes. The passes seem to be going around really nicely smooth. Then it goes back to the point. And it just stops, and then the defenders get in position and take away any plays. It just seems to takes away the rhythm and the groove of that power play all the time. Riley's just taken away that rhythm and groove of the power play. So I'd like to see them give Gustafsson a shot at that first power play. I mean, they got some time and they got a little bit of runway here to try and play with it. So I hope they do give him a shot up there on the first power play unit because Riley just telegraphs it. He's so stiff. Like he'll get the puck and he physically he squares himself around to make the pass up, and he just not smooth in doing it at all. And everybody just finally can fall into position.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with this power play is it's slow, and I think you probably notice it too. Is even the zone entry, right? And there's a big contrast between Edmonton's zone entry to Toronto's. Edmonton does the drop back, and they utilize that, but theirs is much faster. and it doesn't allow you an opportunity to get into a set position or stop up or be able to jam up the blue line or anything, because it's McDavid and it's Draisaitl, and they're coming down so quick, they're just ramming it down your throats that you can't do anything about it as they come and approach the blue line and enter the zone. Like, there's nothing you can do at that point with them. With the Leafs, they do. Riley skates up slowly, gets to center ice, then he does a 20-foot drop pass to Matthews, and then Matthews skates up slowly, and then a 20-foot slingshot pass back to Marner, and then now all of a sudden, all the Leafs and all the Oilers are just standing at the blue line. There's no opportunity for the guy carrying the puck to break through and get into a break to go on a breakaway or anything as he enters the zone. And now everyone's in the same spot because they all have to set up now, because Edmonton was standing there with the Leafs, so they're like holding each other's hands at the blue line. Now they're just going to stand into the zone together. Like, they're so slow on these entrances.
You can't make an east-west pass there because
it's all clogged.
You're going to get it picked off, and it's going to go the other way. You can't. Everybody, it's like, that's a really dangerous. I noticed that the second power play is much better at entries than the first power play. I don't know if someone wants to check out the stats on that, but it just seems to me that they just go north and south and just push the puck ahead. And if there's not a pass available, they'll just dump it in and go in forecheck and then get the puck back.
Yes, that second unit is good at it.
They're not as good as the first. Unit.
There's a discrepancy in skill there for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, they should go over that. I'm blabbing off about the game film and stuff. They should go over that game film and go, hey, look at these guys are getting entries. Why are they getting entries? Because when they have the team standing up the blue line, they just dump it in. If they're standing still, there's a good chance of winning that puck back on a forecheck if the other team's all just standing still at the blue line and you're going full out. I mean,
yeah,
I really hate that entry. I really, really hate it. It just and the reason that Edmonton is successful is because the other team's got to back off, because they got to respect that speed and what McDavid can do with it. So they back off, and that gives the Edmonton the entry that they need. So they end up getting the entry because the speed backs them off.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work for the Leafs because they take too long to set up that play, that entry play. Like you said, it's usually two passes back. By the time that happens, everyone's just standing at the blue line. It's just standing at the blue line, and it's just, oh man, I hate that play. When did that came into fashion? About 3 to 5 years ago.
I think it was a little bit longer. Like, I think it started just before Matthews and Marner had gone into the league, but it was like a slow adaptation where it wasn't every team doing it. And then I'm pretty sure once they got in, and it wasn't because of Toronto like doing it, it was like a league-wide thing once they started getting in, and it just became normalized that everyone was doing that. But I think the thing was that worked, like, this is going to be cyclical. And I think the thing was that it worked then because nobody had seen that. And now all of a sudden you drop it back when you're prepping and you're back. Like, this is the benefit of it. And this is what I think you'll agree with is like what Edmonton succeeds with is Edmonton moves up the ice as a unit, right? And the team that's defending, that's on the kill, has to back up as Edmonton's coming. And then basically what happens is Edmonton is still moving forward, but they slingshot that puck back, and the guy is just trailing and comes in with them, and he just passes them because McDavid has so much speed. Draisaitl has so much speed. They just pass those guys. They slow down, but they're still moving. But the defending team basically has to like be in a position to stop up. So I think that when it got first introduced, they were just able to take advantage of that and enter the zone really well. Now it's kind of getting used to it and people are figuring things out, and the Leafs just have never changed theirs. They've continued to do the same thing for like the last 4 years of the same power play entry, and every time it kills like 30, 35, 40 seconds off of the clock, off the power play, every single time.
Yeah, it's just three guys standing at the blue line. You're right. Like, the Edmonton does come up together as a unit, which is that's I think far more effective. You're right. They got to go, and Edmonton's like by far and away the top power play in the league, right? So maybe the coaching staff have got to go over and look at Edmonton's power play and see what they're doing successfully, other than having the elite player in the game running it. But,
well, that helps. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, one more thing I wanted to say about the defensive pairs. So about the defensive pairings. Yeah, it's tough with Riley. It really is tough with Riley. But TJ Brody seems
Well,
to
Gord, let
have
me
to be
ask
the
you
best.
this, because like I think like this is something I asked Andrew. I've talked about myself, and it's just like Riley seems to be the anomaly. Um, he can't play with certain people. They need to play him on the power play. They feel the need like they need to play him higher up in the lineup. He plays best with Brody. I agree with you 100% there. That's his best partner. But the problem is that Brody and McCabe, if they play together, I think they're the best defense pairing that we have. So then do you want to split them up? Like, where do you go from there? And like, do you agree with me on that point?
Yeah, I agree. I like McCabe with Liljegren actually because I like the left right. I like the left right dynamic. So I know McCabe can play right and he has played right, so that's not a problem. But I like Liljegren, McCabe, Brody, Riley, and then Geo and whoever's with Geo, either Hall or Shen. I want to see some more Shen. I want to see Geo. I want to see Geo with Shen, and I want to see Shen be physical. That's or like I said, if they're going to do the 11-7, you have Gustafsson. You can slide him in here once in a while, and then use him as a power play specialist.
Right.
I liked his reads. I really liked his. He really reads the play well, and he like again another guy who's not physical. So it's a matter of what type of player you want in there for your number 6 guy. You want the physical guy in, then you want Shen in there, right? If you want a guy who's who maybe reads plays a little bit better because Shen tends to get beaten to the outside.
Right.
That's another thing that Hall is good at. He's got a good gap, and if a guy does get an entry, he'll gradually just ride the guy off to the outside, pin him on the boards, and a teammate will pick up the puck. Whereas Shen gets a little bit turnstiled on the outside from time to time. I don't know. I want to see a little bit more of it. I haven't seen enough of him recently, but that's what I recall of Shen. So I'd like to see a little bit more. But I'd like to see Geo and Shen on and maybe McCabe with. I really like Liljegren. I really like Liljegren's game.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he tends to give up a way too much gap. He gives up the blue line, where Hall doesn't. He gives up the blue line. He gives up a good couple of yards inside the blue line. So if he tidies that up a little bit, because he's way better, he's got better feet than Hall, no question. But he's a little bit timid on that gap. He's still a little bit timid on that gap. There was a goal last week, I think, but that I can't. I remember in a goal, but it was McDavid, so I'm not going to hold him. I'm not going to hold him to that one there. He gave up a ton of gap, and McDavid went around him and scored an easy goal. But I'm not going to hold him responsible for that one. You got McDavid coming in on you. I'd give him some gap too.
Yeah.
I'd be right up against Murray for sure.
Yeah.
I'm worried about Murray. I think Murray, I don't know, those 3 short side goals, the one on Hall where he caught himself up on the post, the 2 on Draisaitl, oh my goodness, those were weak. Like the 2 short side ones just inside his toe. Like you got to have your foot like right up against the post or just on the outside of the post. Those can't squeak through, man.
The McDavid 5-hole, I think, shouldn't have been a goal.
Yeah, that's a tough one. McDavid's been going 5-hole a lot recently. I've seen that goal probably about 5 times in the last 3 weeks. So
that's true. Yeah.
I don't know. That's when he's moving in quickly and you're like focusing, and I don't know that's a quick play. That's a quick shot. He's got a really deceptive release now. I think again, Bieksa was talking about how his game has he was talking about, I don't know, did you watch the first intermission where he's breaking down a lot of the plays? He was saying that, how McDavid, when he first came in the league, like he was head and shoulders above everyone in speed, but every year he adds a little something to his game. And, recently it's been his shot. Like his shot is accurate. You don't see him missing the net much. It's always bang on. And he's been going to that between the legs a lot, which is a good move in the NHL because those big goalies, they cover so much net. So, you can get them in between going down. You can catch them. You can catch that 5-hole a lot. Nylander got that 5-hole on Skinner tonight.
Yep.
Caught him in between, right? You catch those guys in between going down. That 5-hole is exposed. So those are going to happen. I'm not so worried about that. It's like that short side, man.
Yeah.
And one of the things I liked about Murray in the beginning of the year, and I was saying he covers the bottom of the net well, but I don't know if it's his injury or what, but he seemed to be a little bit shy about kicking that toe out. I don't know.
Yeah. So you go into the playoffs right now. Your number one goalie is
Samsonov.
Yeah. Okay. Same page there. Yeah.
Yeah. Samsonov and yeah, I'm not saying that with a lot of confidence either, because he can look shaky at times too. But
look,
yeah,
I don't know if you agree with this, but I think that the biggest thing that will help the goaltending here or make the goaltending look good is playing like the team in front of them. I continue to look back at Kemper last year with Colorado. Kemper played really well. But it wasn't to a level that I don't think Samsonov can get to, or that I think Samsonov can get to. Like, it wasn't like this is an unattainable level. Colorado played incredible in front of them, played incredible defensively. So if this team can play incredible defensively in front and can play Stanley Cup caliber defense in front of Samsonov, I don't feel concerned about Samsonov. I think even if they dip down a little bit, he's still got that ability. Look at that game against New Jersey the other night where they came out and they sucked in the first period. If it wasn't for him, they could have been losing 4-0 after the first. And he stays in it. He makes some big saves. He does some big stuff that gives them an opportunity. So I think that we're in a good spot there. And if everyone can buy in and you get these performances like from McCabe, from Gio, from Brody, where they are playing tremendously defensively in front of them, I think that I feel pretty comfortable with Samsonov and him being the guy. But that being said, I do agree with you that, like, even though I just said that, and I'm trying to be positive, I don't say that with as much conviction as I would like to, especially going into the playoffs with this team being like, hey, let's make it out of the first round for the first time.
Yeah, but you're right. That was a heck of a period against Jersey the other day, where they were under barrage, and he made some outstanding plays. He looked a lot better positionally. Sometimes he tends to slide around too much. He slides out of position. He looks to be too much. So whomever the goalie coach is there, if they just keep him a little bit more anchored in position, then he's got the reflexes, he's got the reads. I think he's got the talent. He does seem to have a little bit of that Jack Campbell nervousness to him, though.
Yeah.
That kind of that makes me nervous going into the playoffs. So it's hard. Yeah, it's really hard to say. It's really up in the air. I mean, Murray's had the experience, so possibly he can turn it around for the playoffs, but
right.
He made a few nice saves tonight. There was a glove save that he didn't catch, but he made and there was a really outstanding glove save on, I forget who it was, but it was a quick tip in front of the net, and he had his glove just above his pad and he caught it. And that was 3-1 at that point. Like, that was a really key point in the game. That would have been 4-1. That probably would have buried the Leafs there, but
yep.
Yeah, I see a few people saying, Wall. You never know. I mean, look at Binnington comes in from out of nowhere. I mean, it's happened. Ken Dryden, I remember, when I was a kid, Boston Bruins had the best record in hockey, and they went in and I remember that game because I was a big Bobby Orr fan or that series, and Ken Dryden stood on his ear, and he was a rookie coming out of college. I think Colgate or something. Yeah, he's coming out of college and he stood on his ear. And it happens, right? It happens. So you never know. Wall might be a guy that ends up. But yeah, the goalie thing is we're all crossing our fingers and toes on that. And
yeah,
but I think Samsonov is the guy.
All right, Gord, we've been doing this for a while here. We're almost at the 2-hour mark, so we're probably going to start to wrap up. I appreciate you calling in. Is there anything else that's on your mind that you want to get off? Anything else you want to talk about or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm just going to say this is probably the last time I'm going to talk about Justin Hall, because I think it's beating a dead horse at this point. And we're just going to have to agree to disagree on what I think his good points and effectiveness are. Mm-hmm. And I have to concede that the things that you brought up are definitely true, that I think he's a better skater than you give him credit for. But and I think he has far better gap control that you give him credit for. But there's a lot of issues that he has, no question. That's why I put him as a number 6 or a number 7, and I think he's a decent number 6 or a number 7. And that's all I'm going to say about Justin Hall from here on in. That's all I'm going to say about Justin Hall from here on in. And I'm going to say I really, really love the O'Reilly and the Chari pickups. Yeah. And I didn't know anything about this Lafferty guy, but yeah. I love Lafferty. I really love Lafferty. I don't know if the guy's got any hands or whatever. He doesn't have to score. He doesn't have to do anything. As long as he can get fly and put pressure on the other team and keep the other team from scoring, I'm happy, because it's all going to come down to the big boys. So if the other guys in the bottom 6 can just keep the other team from scoring, then it's up to the big boys. And the big boys, and if they don't do it this year, then what are we going to do, guys? There's nothing we can do. We can, we can go on Twitter. We can say, fire Key, fire this, fire that, or whatever, but nothing's going to solve anything. It's basically up to the big boys. It's up to Marner, Matthews, and Nylander to put the puck in the net come playoff time. Yep. And the other guys got to play their role. They got to shut down. They got to shut down the other team. Yeah, okay, chip in maybe with the odd Nick Paul goal. That's fine, right? But it's got to be the big boys that drive the bus, man. If they don't, I mean,
yeah, that's what it comes down to.
We want them to win round 1 to get all the trolls off our backs on Twitter and whatnot. Definitely, right? Because we're sick of hearing like win around. Yeah. But the bottom line is we want them to win a cup. Forget round 1. You want them to win a cup. You know what I'm saying? So round 1 is not the goal. The cup is the goal.
No, that would be a sad goal if that's what we're sitting here with. If that's
round 1 is just to get the Twitter trolls off our backs, right?
Yeah, that's for us. That's for the fans. Yeah. It's not for anything else other than the fans. That's what we're looking for there. But
exactly.
Well, Gord, I appreciate you calling in. Appreciate you taking the time to do this. As always, I respect your opinion. We have differing opinions. I'm always open to hearing it. There are things you said that I do agree with as well. But again, like there's things that you said that I still will disagree with. And I don't know that I'll be able to change my opinion on some of those things. But regardless, I do appreciate the conversation. I appreciate you calling in and giving your side of things and us being able to go back and forth on those. I think that even though sometimes it does appear to be heated, I think it's more just the display of anything than actual emotions of things. So I appreciate that as well. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for you. Continue to call in and share your opinions in the chat and stuff. So thank you for the support. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for participating in the chats as always. But yes, thank you for calling in here tonight, most importantly at this point.
Okay, man. And keep up the great work. Great channel. Like I said again, great channel. And hey, we're all passionate about hockey. And, when you see Hall fumble the puck and the other team score, I can understand the angst. So it's totally understandable. And I fully appreciate everybody on the chat. And I appreciate your angst over Hall. So no sweat on that. But like I said, I'm gonna stick by what I think I see. I think Keith sees in him because I see those same things. And but all that said, I still think the guy is a number 6 guy or a number 7 guy. A number 6 or a number 7 guy. He's not a number 1 guy. He's not a number 4 guy. I think he's a solid 6, and he's good to have as a number 7. If Shen steps in and if Shen steps in and plays really well and physical, I'm gonna love seeing Hall in a suit. Okay, but let me just say that I'm gonna love seeing Hall in a suit, and I'm gonna be pumping Luke Shen.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay,
well,
so just want to say hi to all the guys in the chat, and all the guys in the chat too. All the heated arguments and stuff. It's all good, guys. It's all good. We're all passionate about hockey. So
yes.
Go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go. All right, Gord, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. I hope we don't have to wait so long to get to hear from you again. Happy to have you back at any point, anytime. So thank you very much for doing this today. Enjoy the rest of your day, because I know it's not nighttime where you are right now. So enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy. Thanks, man. And look forward to hearing
one of the
from you
reasons I don't call in so much is I tend to be so long-winded and I dominate the conversation. And then when I go back and listen to it a little bit, I go, "Oh my God, shut up, Gord." So,
no, don't worry about it. If it was too much, I would jump in. So don't worry about it.
All right, thanks, guy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. See you.
Take care. See you guys.
All right, there you go. Gord's Corner made its return to the show here today. So thank you to Gord for calling in. Appreciate it as always. Love getting to hear from Gordon and his conversations and his opinions on the team. Just want to remind people as well, if you haven't hit like on this stream, please make sure to do so. We're almost at 150. We're 20 away. So if you hit that like button one more time before we finish the stream, we can do the salts. But if you don't get to the 50, then it isn't happening. But if you haven't hit subscribe on this channel, please make sure to do so. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the playoff time. We're going to add a whole bunch of things coming up to this channel that we're looking forward to do. Probably roll these things out over the next little while. So if you're interested in some more stuff here, make sure to hit subscribe on the channel. If you enjoyed the stream here tonight, we will be doing more of these, obviously, leading up to the end of the regular season. And then in the playoffs, that's when it's going to be the most fun. It'll be the most intense. But we do still have 2 more things to do here today before we finish this show. So let's first get to our Awesome Matthews play of the day. I want to hear everyone's in the chat, but I'm certain this one is going to be fairly unanimous. All right. Awesome Matthews play of the day. The Mitch Marner goal. Like that was stick handling in a phone booth. You've got the guy on a string. You're pulling it back. The patience pulls it back. Backhand tucks it around the guy. I can't even do justice explaining what happened. If you haven't seen the goal yet, please make sure after you watch this stream to go and watch the Mitch Marner goal from tonight, because I can't even begin to put in words how nice it was. He picks off the pass from McLeod in the Edmonton zone in the slot, basically goes backwards, backhand toe drag, pulls it around as he shuffles his feet and then flips it over the goalie's pad, and it goes post and in. That was an absolutely amazing goal. Matthew's reaction to that, the team's reaction, the energy that came into that building after that happened was absolutely ridiculous. That goal that was scored. So that is my play of the day. I find it hard to imagine there was another one that was that good here tonight. There's some other stuff that deserves some mention. I look at the Nylander goal as well. That one also is an honorable mention to Marner, stealing the puck there near the just inside the blue line, turning around, making the pass across to Willie as he's entering the zone. Just time and space, pumping it out there for him to skate into, grabs it, skates in, fires that 1-5 hole. That was a beautiful goal as well. And then it's obviously always nice to get to watch Austin Matthews score goals. So the pass down to JT, bumper to Matthews in the middle, that was great. So happy about that. Look, that's gonna be my play of the day. I have some things I just need to get into quickly here before we go out, because I don't want to leave them unmentioned. And also remember, hit that like button if you're watching still right now. So hit that like button. We do appreciate everyone who supports the channel. But I got quick things. First and foremost, the NHL has a referee problem. I think it's something that's creeping into pro sports everywhere. It is a very difficult job that these guys have, but it is truly a frustrating thing having to watch. And maybe some of it is just the fact that we have so much access to video review, but Tonight, the very first penalties of the game, they lost control of the game. Calling the even up penalty on both guys sets the tone for the rest of the night that nobody is going to be punished for doing dumb stuff or retaliating or whatever. As soon as it happened the very first time and you send both guys to the box with the and then you go to the Matthews and McDavid one, and they both get sent to the box, and then JT has an opportunity to respond and chop off Desharnais' hand. Like, these are the things that's going to happen, and then they both go to the box. Like, it's retroactive calls. It is terrible calls both ways for both people. Mismanagement of the game. It is very frustrating from that perspective. The refereeing that's going on in pro sports everywhere is atrocious. You saw Fred VanVleet speak out on it the other day. Someone in the NHL needs to sack up right now and be the person who's going to put themselves out on the line and go out there and say, yeah, this can't happen anymore. These refs suck. This is what these guys are doing, because it is actually getting to a point where it is atrocious and it's hurting the product and it's hurting the game. That is a very, very frustrating thing to me. Vincent Lee here saying, Zach, I mentioned earlier, why not allow a challenge on penalty? And if challenge fails, then penalty like challenging. I don't mind that. I don't mind that idea, Vincent, in terms of the challenge on the penalty, but some of it is just, it's not black or white as to what is and isn't. And even in the NFL, there's times where they challenge a penalty, it goes to the challenge, and it becomes more confusing after the fact. And then they come out with an answer where everyone who's sitting at home watching on TV says, oh yeah, this should be reversed because of what we see on the replay here. They come back and they don't reverse it. And you sit there like, well, now I actually understand the rules even less than where I was at before this happened. So, like, that's the thing that gets confusing to me. And I promise you guys that are watching, I'm not saying this from a Leafs perspective. Both sides are going to have reasons to be pissed off about the reffing tonight, and I think it's valid that they do. The reffing in the pro sports, just all across everybody, sucks. This needs to get better. This is insane. And like the Kane Bunting thing, they both should have got penalties on that one at that point because of what they were doing. How does the referee allow that to go on for so long? It started at Toronto's blue line and it carried on into the hash marks of Edmonton's zone. It was the same thing the entire time. They wrestled the entire ice and the ref just sits there with his hands in his pockets letting it go on. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? The refereeing is atrocious. That needs to stop. Just can't deal with that anymore. That pisses me off. We talked about Achari here tonight. Tons of credit to him. I think he looked great. Murray, I have a lot of concern about right now. He's a guy who will pull the chute if things aren't going well. Pull up on injuries. Maybe he's sick. Maybe he doesn't want to do this. He doesn't feel like playing, so you can't go. Whatever it is. He hops in here tonight. He didn't look great. And he did make some big saves. Gordon mentioned the one where he slid across, made the backdoor save. Like, he made some, but reality was he didn't make some of the saves that he should have. Stuart Skinner didn't either on the Edmonton side, but Murray, for us, this is what we're looking at as Leafs fans. Murray, not great. Jake McCabe, incredible. Love what Jake McCabe's brought. So those are some of the things I just felt like I needed to kind of get out. Also want to shout out Jake McCabe for leveling the guy at center ice. As far as that went, I think that was a good one. Like, just a good tone setting thing to be like, yeah, we do have guys who will do this. We have guys who will smoke people. And the other thing here, one thing I noticed that was kind of insane was a Kerfoot drop pass in the neutral zone. He dropped it to nobody, and it gets picked off. Or that was Bunting, and then inside the blue line was Kerfoot, where he does like a through-the-legs drop pass late in the third period. Terrible decision-making on that one by him. So, insane move there. But final thing, grades of the game. All right. Grades of the game for tonight here. Oh, man. I'm going to slide in lower than I think people would realize or think that I might. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say, but I'm going to go with an A-. Here's how I'm going with the A-, and it's not an A or not an A+. First of all, you allow 4 goals against, and Murray, in my opinion, did not play that well. Second, your special teams were fine. I look at, you went 1 for 3 or 2 for 3 on the penalty kill here tonight. Edmonton scored 1 goal on 3 power play opportunities. That's obviously an incredible power play team, but if you're going to step up in the playoffs, like, maybe you got to take away that opportunity. Our power play goes 2 for 5 on the night, 40%. I think that's fine, but obviously the last power play goal doesn't come till the last power play. I think that if you're sitting here ahead, you don't score that goal, this is a much different conversation about the special teams, because you're looking at 1 of 4, 1 of 5. There's a little bit of concern in that. But my big concern is really just with Murray. I was happy that they at least climbed back. You get 7 goals out of this one. This was a good offensive game, 100%. This is also a good resiliency game. This is a team that you got smoked by 2 weeks ago or a week ago. They jump out to an early lead. They start this one 3-1. And after you scored, they scored immediately after, then they go up 3-1. Now you're in a place where you're down against Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, where they get up and they play big, and you find a way to battle. You find a way to get it done. So that's kind of where I saw it in on this one. A-. I think that Murray needs to be better. He needs to be more dialed in, but you find a way to win. A- for me on the night. Mario Kart here saying, is that a number 22 Mike Johnson and number 26 Alan Stanley in the back? It is a number 26 Alan Stanley. It is a Rick Vive jersey. Both autographed. Both jerseys autographed. Number 22 Rick Vive. Both autographed back there behind me. So that's what's going on with those. That's what those jerseys are. But yeah, and 6 1/3 saying down 3-1 and scored 5 straight. Yes. Yes. Ray Communications being very soft on some players here. I'm seeing Oilers equal number 1 offense in the NHL. Murray did okay. Look, Murray let in weak goals. So it doesn't matter whether or not they're the number 1 offense in the NHL. He let in weak goals. That was what it was. He gave Edmonton an opportunity to win, and the Leafs played through it and ended up getting the win themselves. But yeah, wasn't ideal. Was not ideal. But that's kind of where I'm at. Leafs fans, thank you guys so much for tuning in here tonight. Again, if you haven't liked this stream, please make sure to do so. Hit that like button right now. You can also subscribe to this channel so you get notified every time that we go live. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the playoff time. We're getting closer to that playoff time, so if you can ramp it up, hit subscribe. That would be appreciated. Show your friends about this. Tell them we're doing the live post games. If people want to call in, join the Discord. You can call me. But this was Game 65 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Edmonton Oilers 7-4, moving to 40-17-8 on the year. Thank you to everyone who continues to show support to the channel. Thank you to everyone who participated in the chat tonight. Gordon, Andrew, thank you guys for calling in. Greatly appreciate it as always. Leafs fans, thank you guys. Enjoy your nights. Keep believing.